right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the January 18th meeting of the Oak Park Board of Education. This is the regular meeting that was rescheduled from our original meeting date of January 10th. I'm going to call this meeting to order at 7:07. Ms. Greer, can you please call the roll?
Coburn, Alvin.
Here.
Goodfriend. Hoda.
Here.
Klein.
Here.
Lunkins. Smith.
Here.
And this being the first meeting of 2022, I want to welcome everybody and also mention a couple of changes before we go into the agenda. Until the end of 2021, under the Open Meetings Act, the board was allowed to meet via Zoom for those who weren't able to be here in person due to a state of emergency declared by the City of Oak Park. That exception to the Open Meetings Act expired at the end of 2021, and as of 2022, a public body like a school board can only meet in person, and board members are not allowed to participate in meetings via Zoom or telephone or any other device unless they are in active military service. So that is, unfortunately, we were not able to have a quorum that was able to meet here in person at our original meeting date. That's why it was rescheduled. We do have a quorum tonight, so I'm glad everyone could be here. That also means that public comment will be only in person, and we are meeting in the Oak Park High School auditorium to allow for adequate space so that those who do want to participate from the public and provide public participation will be able to do so with the appropriate distancing, which would not necessarily be available in our usual meeting place in the past, which is the administration building. Since it is a new year, we are going to get to election of officers in a moment, but per our bylaws, the outgoing president presides over the meeting until new officers are elected. So we'll begin with recitation of district mission and vision. And I'll ask Trustee Klein if he can read our mission and vision, please.
Our mission is to be an inclusive learning community that provides the best academic and social experience by educating the whole child, one child at a time. And our vision is to cultivate visionary leaders and compassionate citizens to be engaged in the global community.
Thank you, Trustee Klein. Trustee Smith, can you please read the first two of our beliefs statements?
Yes. We will create safe, physical, emotional, cultural safety. We will build positive, productive, and supportive relationships with all members of the community, including students, parents, and local leaders and businesses.
And Trustee Elvin, can you read the next two, please?
We will use equitable anti-racist instruction to instill a growth mindset and help all students reach their highest potential. We will prepare all students to be thoughtful, successful, and engaged members of the global community.
Okay. And finally, we will work together to responsibly maximize our resources with transparency and accountability. We move to approval of the agenda and order of business. Do any board members have changes to the agenda or questions about the agenda? I'll ask for unanimous consent for approval of the agenda. Seeing no opposition, the agenda is approved, and we move to the election of board officers for the 2022 school year, for the 2022 calendar year, and I will accept nominations for the office of president.
I would like to make a motion that we nominate Al Elvin as president of the Board of Education.
Mr. Elvin, do you accept the nomination?
I do.
Are there any other nominations?
I'd like to nominate the outgoing president as well,
Nominated.
Mr. Hoyda.
I will not accept that nomination. Thank you.
Then I will vote for Mr. Smith, Mr.
All
Elvin.
right. So with one nomination on the floor, we will call a vote. Ms. Greer, can you please call the roll?
Alvin.
Yes.
Hoda.
Yes.
Klein.
Yes.
And Smith.
Yes.
Congratulations, Mr. Elvin, and you will preside at the meeting from here. Would you like to switch seats?
Are we allowed to say anything?
Gavel to you.
Congratulations, Mr. Elvin.
Congratulations, Mr. Elvin. At this point, are we allowed to say anything? No? Okay. All right. I'll say it for the end.
Well, at this point, we'll continue with the nominations. So at this point, I'll open the election for the office of Vice President. Are there any nominations for Vice President?
I would like to nominate Mr. Hoyda.
Thank you.
Second.
Okay. Do you accept the nomination, Mr. Hood?
I will accept the nomination.
Okay. So, with that said, then, if he's accepted the nomination, if we can,
Call the roll.
Roll call on this?
Alvin,
Yes.
Hoda,
Yes.
Klein,
Yes.
and Smith.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Well, congratulations, Mr. Vice President.
Congratulations, Mr. Hoyda.
Congratulations.
At this time, we will open the office, nomination for the office of Secretary.
I would like to nominate Trustee Al Smith for secretary.
I accept.
You want a second? You don't have to.
I would, but I don't know if that's proper procedure, so.
It's been It's been nominated.
I'm gonna vote for him.
And Trustee Smith has accepted. Are there any other nominations for the office of Secretary? Hearing none, Ms. Greer, please call the roll.
Smith,
Yes.
Klein,
Yes.
Hoda,
Yes.
and Alvin.
Yes. Okay, at this time, we will open the nominations for the office of Treasurer.
I would like to nominate Trustee Klein for the office of Treasurer.
I accept the nomination.
Thank you. Are there any other nominations for the office of Treasurer?
I will second the nomination of Trustee Klein, especially given his attentiveness that we all noticed most recently that led to the discovery of making sure that we are keeping things as they should.
Very good. Very good then. If there are no other nominations, Ms. Greer, would you please call the roll?
Smith,
Yes.
Klein,
Yes.
Hoda,
Yes.
and Alvin.
Yes. Well, congratulations to Mr. Treasurer, Mr. Secretary, Mr. Vice President.
Congratulations, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Do we make acceptance speeches now?
Go for it. All right. At this point, we will go to the consent agenda, excuse me. We have two items on here, approval of the minutes and approval of personnel actions. Does anybody have anything to remove from the consent agenda? Hearing none, Ms. Greer, would you please call, well, actually, I'm sorry. Is there a motion to accept the consent agenda as presented?
I make the motion to accept the consent agenda as presented.
There's a motion on the floor, is there a second?
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Ms. Greer, would you please call the roll?
Alvin,
Yes.
Hoda,
Yes.
Klein,
Yes.
Smith.
Yes.
Motion passes. Consent agenda is passed. We now move to presentations, and our first presentation, our only presentation, is the Seal of Biliteracy presentation by Ms. Sandra Guzman de Grimm. I hope I pronounced that correctly.
Yes, I'm Sandra Guzman de Grimm. I am Spanish teacher at Oak Park High School, content area lead for secondary. I've been teaching for over 30 years.
Bring the mic a little closer, please.
Is that
Thank you.
better?
Yes.
Okay. You guys all received the PowerPoint slides. So as content area lead, one of the programs I would like you to consider to adopt for our students is the Seal of Biliteracy. The Seal of Biliteracy is a national program. It's both started in Colorado. Colorado, I believe, has the most seals of biliteracy for graduating seniors. Do you have it, or?
No, I've got
Yeah, okay,
it
I'm
up.
making sure.
I've got it up. I didn't know if they were sharing it some other way.
I don't know, do you want him to show it to the audience, or?
It's okay.
Okay. It's Michigan Department of Education and our Oakland Schools World Language Consultant. We are working, world language teachers in Oakland County are working with the Michigan Department of Ed trying to get schools to do the seal of biliteracy. It's an extra seal that students earn by proving proficiency in a second language, third language, fourth language. The number of languages, it's up to the student on how many they are able to show proficiency in. So when it talks about the first slide about what it is, I'm not going to read slides to people, so it's basically telling you that they can get what is called intermediate high proficiency. Novice is the level that World Languages asks us to do right now, just as 2 years of a curriculum in the same language. So intermediate high is beyond that. And it also will show that students have certain skills in all of the skills of language, of speaking, listening, reading, writing, interpersonal and presentational, so then a potential employer can recognize that as well, because then they know that this person has those skills, makes them more employable. A student, the second slide, or the third slide says, how does a student earn the seal of biliteracy? There are many ways that they can do it. One of the ways I think that we can really easily start with at the high school is our ESL program or ELL program. Attended school beyond grade 6 in another country in another language. And we have documentation provided to us that that occurred. Then that student, with meeting the English credits for graduation in our district, can then have a seal of biliteracy placed upon their diploma. We have several students like this. I know I came across a student of mine, we were just talking about other things where he shared a little more about himself and where he is from, and I realized that he may be actually, depending on how hard he wants to work, he might be able to do it in 3 languages. But it just means whether or not the student wants to work at that. A student can do it by taking what is called the STAMP assessment, and that has the areas of reading, writing, listening, and speaking. And a student needs to take that assessment in the other language, whatever the other language may be. And they get a 6 on each of those. Not an average, but they have to get a 6 on each of those sections. They get that, and they meet the ELA requirement for graduation in our district. They can get the stamp of approval, the stamp of biliteracy. Does the Michigan Merit Curriculum allow the graduation fulfillment to be fulfilled? And it does, because we do novice, intermediate, high, that supersedes that. So that would cover that. Also, students earning the seal of biliteracy, which goes into the next slide, colleges and universities in Michigan are starting to notice this, and they're starting to accept it. The Grand Valley, I put on here that we know that Central Michigan actually does award credit to students that have the seal of biliteracy in whatever that language is. So they will give them some credit. Colleges looking into it are also Albion, Saginaw Valley, Grand Valley. Those are schools that a lot of our students do look at going to as well. So I see this as a good thing for them, because then they can get some of that out of the way as well. And then the STAMP test. That's a test that is done through Oakland Schools. Oakland Schools administers it. It's a $20 testing fee for the test. Oakland Schools will cover $10 of the $20. And the Advanced system is the system that they use for this. When you take the Oakland Schools STAMP test, that would be up to us. We can pick 1 to 2 dates a year, and we can have our students then go and take the test. Lake Orion Schools, I know, has these occur at the same time as test out dates. We do have the ability for students to test out of world language as well. I tested a student earlier this year. She didn't meet the criteria to test out, but she did the test. So talking with the mother, talking with the administrator in charge of world languages at the time, we arranged for her to come in and have a test. And the test that students do for world languages to test out is a county test that our teachers from Oak Park, as well as other Oakland County teachers, have contributed to develop these tests. So it's not just one that I pick. It's a set test that's given, covering all the areas. The testing window, it tells me, is the window of August the 1st to the third Friday in June of each year. So it starts August the 1st of 2022 would be for the next school year, okay? So we can pick the dates that we want. If we coincide them with when they have testing out, it just makes it easier for counselors, whoever is involved with giving information to the students. The testing dates are around the same time. And if a student takes the STAMP test and does not earn a 6 in all of those areas and feels that he or she, if they retool, if they could do it, they can do that. It is a fee, it is another $20 to do that, and they have to test in all of those areas. They can't just go, oh, I messed up on the reading part and I need to retake that only. They have to retake the whole thing. And the last slide is a list of names of people that I, with the support of Ms. Baptiste, we brainstormed some people in the district, and I emailed them and asked them if they would consider serving on a committee for this, and the ones that are listed there are the ones that said yes, they would do it. And that's, any questions for me? Yes, sir.
Yes. So,
Go ahead, Mrs.
yes, thank you, Ms. Guzman D. Grimm. I think this is outstanding. You mentioned about employers, you know, that this is viewable to or visible to employers that you would, you know, that they can take in consideration this certificate, you know, in their possible hiring practices. In their hiring practices. I work in IT within one of the automotive industries, and there's a high demand. There's a high demand for resources that have bilanguage skills, and I myself always wanted to have another language. I even have Babbel on my phone now. So, but I encourage a lot of young kids, always take up a second language and to try to, build upon those skills. And I just think this is an outstanding concept. So I applaud this. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I mean, because students aren't all going to college either. I mean, let's be real about that. Not all of them are going to college. However, they're going to go and have to earn a living somehow, some way, because they have to. So this is an employability skill that can push them ahead of somebody else.
Oh, yeah. Good job.
Any other questions or comments? Trustee Hoyt.
Thank you, President Elvin, and thank you, Ms. Guzman de Grimm, especially for making this opportunity available for our students. Is this specific to the languages that we offer in the high school, or are there other languages beyond that students would be able to test in as well?
Beyond. I mean, if you go to Michigan Department of Education, there's a list of them, and they're constantly adding to it. There are even languages on there that are not written languages. So then, as long as we're able to do a STAMP test, if we cannot have documentation to prove that they were in such and such target language setting outside the United States beyond 6th grade, they have to do the STAMP test. And as they meet the ELA requirements, they can be biliterate then in English and that second language. And if they're doing that, and I mean, for me growing up, I could have taken probably this test and gotten it in Spanish, English, and then maybe taken German or French if I wanted to. So it's up to each person and how much he or she's willing to put into it.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Trustee
Yeah, thank you, Ms. Guzman de Grimm. Besides the $10 fee per test that would be the Oak Park burden, what else does the district have to actually do to participate in this program?
Allow me to be the facilitator so that I can be the person to contact MDE and put in the applications. It's like a 1 or 2 page application form that we send to MDE. So then they send you, they'll send me the stickers or the seals to give to the students. And as you do them, I mean, I can you can do the application to MDE to get the seals proven, vetted, sent back to you throughout the year, and then like I would house them until they graduate as a senior. I would foresee maybe allowing either, a part of graduation being, these are the students that are getting seals of biliteracy besides their diplomas.
There's 5 people listed as being on the team. So besides your position and your volunteerism and taking this on, which is fantastic and amazing, what would be the functions of the other people on the team?
They would help process the students. They would help get, basically, we tried to be strategic in getting people that were within the district working with the different pockets of students that we don't all have access to the same pocket of students, just not naturally during our day.
Is that a function of kind of like marketing, bringing the students, marketing
Right.
the program to the students to bring them in?
Yes.
But in terms of administrative function, this is really, you're kind of headlining it?
Me with Ms. Baptiste.
Thank you.
Any other questions from anyone else? I do have a question. How many students do you expect to take advantage of this? If you said it, I didn't hear it, so I apologize. But in the first year,
In the first year, my hope would be to strive for maybe 10. I mean, I'm not trying to be huge numbers, but then from there, keep it going. And my hope is that maybe as this continues to go and get known and we get into the programming of Oak Park High School's curriculum, then we can do that branching out as we also expand into pre-AP and AP languages as well.
are there, obviously there are other districts that have this program as well.
Yes.
Is it pretty prevalent, or is it kind of hit or miss, or are a lot of other districts doing this as well?
A lot of districts, no, I won't say a lot, but there are several districts that are doing it, that have been doing it. Lake Orion, I can tell you for sure, because the new Oakland Schools World Language Consultant was a Lake Orion teacher. So she has very good firsthand knowledge of how to do all of this from the teacher perspective, and she's sharing all of that with us, trying to get us teachers to
That was my
implement
next
it.
question, so
Yes.
very good. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. Any other questions? Hearing none? Okay, thank you so
All right,
much.
Thank
No
you.
question, just one comment. Señora Guzmán de Graham, gracias con todo mi corazón. Thank
De
you
nada.
with all of my heart
De
for your
nada.
support with
I
this.
can't hear anything she said. Can you repeat that? Because I missed all of it.
Thank you with all of my heart for your support.
Oh, got it, thank you. Okay,
Thank you.
moving on to reports, we have one report this evening from Dr. Jamie Hitchcock.
Good evening. Congratulations to all of the new officers. We look forward to continuing to work with you as a team, so congratulations and thank you. A special thanks to Ms. Guzman de Grimm for her presentation. I'm not going to be a show-off. I would speak in Mandarin, but I don't want to shake everybody up here. But thank you very much for bringing this opportunity to Oak Park High School and providing it to our students. We want to do everything possible to elevate the opportunities and provide access to our students, particularly in areas that are non-traditional, and allow them to sharpen their skills, whether they plan to go to college or not. So thank you for your work on this, and we look forward to the success of this program. I also want to take a moment to honor Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., as it was the national holiday yesterday, and honor his life and legacy as an amazing civil rights leader. And to do so, students across Oak Park participated in writing events, virtual performances, and local events. We have a video that showcases students at Key Elementary School that I will share with the board on Friday, and we shared with the community in the Oak Park Advantage. The project was titled, "I Can Change the World with My Own Two Hands." Students made personal connections, created artwork, learning posters, writing samples, and offered presentations to the staff and their peers at Key Elementary School. So special thanks to teacher Ms. Bleakley as well as to Principal Murphy for coordinating this project. Also, a special thanks to Grayling Mercer, our planetarium manager. He is always working hard to put together a number of opportunities for students across all grade levels, and he had a special focus on celebrating the life and legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Students and families had the opportunity to participate in a viewing of From Selma to Montgomery Walk. Students in grades 4 through 8 participated in social justice lessons through Minecraft education centered around Congressman or former Congressman John Lewis, called Lessons in Good Trouble, and learned about social justice movements about Nelson Mandela as well as Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And then Microsoft's MLK 2022 presentation provided our students throughout the district with the opportunity to participate or attend a fireside chat with the Presidential Medal of Freedom recipient and NBA All-Star Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. So that is amazing, being a basketball fan myself. Just a wonderful opportunity to hear from an amazing icon. And these wonderful events and so many more took place to honor Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and to again welcome our Board of Education 2022 officers. I will quote Dr. Martin Luther King: "Life's most persistent and urgent question is, what are you doing for others?" And I am proud to say that they can definitely answer that question with the time and dedication that our board puts in to the students and staff in Oak Park. It leads me and is a good segue into acknowledging Board of Education Recognition Month. And as we all know, this past year has been full of challenges in public education. Our school board members persevered through the adversity of 2021 to provide the best possible education for our students and support for our staff. We would like to take this opportunity to celebrate School Board Recognition Month. It is just one of the very small ways to express appreciation for all that you all do, as well as trustees Lunkins, Corcoran, and Goodfriend. Again, thank you for serving on the Oak Park School District Board of Education. On behalf of our students, families, and community, we really appreciate your time and commitment to Oak Park Schools. And congratulations again on the new officers. Additionally, we're proud to share that this fall the legislature passed and Governor Whitmer signed a budget that includes a $700 million grant to support child care providers. The Child Care Stabilization Grant is a non-competitive grant for child care providers to help stabilize operations and support the health and safety of children and staff. The grant was developed with the goal of all families to have access to safe, quality, affordable child care that meets their needs regardless of how old their children are, where they live, family income, or their race or ethnicity. I want to congratulate Brandy North, Director of Early Childhood, on receiving a $250,000 Child Care Stabilization Grant on behalf of our district. We appreciate all of the hard work and effort that was involved in the application process and look forward to the many resources, materials that will be utilized to improve learning and socialization for our youngest students. We have another opportunity to apply for additional grant funds in spring of 2022. So we look forward to what that grant application may bring, and we also look forward to grant funding supporting our preschool staff. And then we are still in the thick of our fight against COVID-19. I'm sure we are all well aware of that, but We're proud of the work that we're doing here in the Oak Park School District. We have partnered with Michigan Community VNA to hold another vaccine clinic. This will be our 7th vaccine clinic in the district. That will be held on Friday, January 28th, 2022, from 2:30 to 5 p.m. at Oak Park Preparatory Academy, which is, for our viewers, 23261 Scotia Road in Oak Park. The Pfizer, Moderna, and Johnson & Johnson vaccines and boosters will be available for anyone ages 12 and up. Registration forms must be submitted by January 20th to ensure a spot. Please check your emails for additional information. And then today we received 2 huge pallets because our amazing nurse, Vanessa Long, enrolled us in the Michigan Backpack Home Test Pilot. The program provides a limited number of free at-home COVID-19 antigen tests for students and staff. So the first part of the shipment was a little over 2,000 tests, and we're in the process of developing a distribution plan for both teachers and students who are interested in one of these tests. And also want to encourage our families, as well as our staff and listeners, community, to check your email and or text messages for a text message reminding everyone to register for free at-home COVID-19 tests from the government. Please log on to www.usps.com/COVID tests. This takes less than 5 minutes. It takes literally a minute or so to register. So please help us continue the fight against COVID-19, reminding everyone to stay masked up, get vaccinated, boosted, and do everything possible to participate in hand hygiene and all of the mitigation efforts to ensure that our students and our staff can stay in school safely. And then finally, I want to welcome Biggie and Brandy. So Biggie and Brandy are the newest members of our safety team. It's a K9 team, which includes a high-quality scent dog. The dog's name is Biggie. I had the pleasure of taking Biggie and Brandy on a tour on Thursday of last week. Biggie and Brandy will provide an extra layer of protection to ensure that we are making sure our families and our students and staff are safe. Biggie and Brandy will also serve as somewhat of a therapy dog because when Biggie is not working, students are able to earn a reward to play with Biggie. And the way our staff responded to Biggie on the tour, I felt like he for sure was a therapy dog. I had a principal on the ground kissing him, the nurses loving him up, and so I heard that the students were really excited to have Biggie at school today. Biggie will be at both OPA and the high school, and during special occasions, we'll try to get Biggie out to some of our elementary schools as well. So that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Hitchcock. Are there any questions or comments for Dr. Hitchcock from the members of the board? Okay, hearing none. We've come into the public participation part of the meeting. As such, I would note that public participation is one-way communication in which members of the public are asked to address the full board with the understanding that board members will not be able to respond. Trustee Smith, would you be ready to provide the audience participation guidelines?
Yes, audience participation. Members of the audience are invited to participate at board meetings prior to the business portion of the meeting, following conclusion of reports, and prior to adjournment to each meeting. You will be recognized by the board president and asked to give your name, your name and address before making your comments. Please present a concise statement of your concern. The board president may choose to limit your presentation to 3 minutes in order that all who wish to speak may have the opportunity to do so. Thank you for your cooperation. We welcome your input and appreciate your presence at our meeting. There's a caveat. If any person with a disability needs special accommodations at a Board of Education meeting, please contact the Superintendent's Office at 248-336-7705, 7 days prior to the meeting date. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Smith. Are there any members of the public that wish to address the board? Please come to the microphone. You can put, please state your name and address for the record, please.
My name is Dawn Summers. I reside at 11232 Andersonville Road in Davisburg, Michigan. Can you hear me okay, though?
Yes.
First of all, greetings and thank you for allowing me to speak this evening. My hope was to attend the board meeting last week virtually. Once I was told the Open Meetings Act was over and all meetings would be held in person, I decided to stay after work, passing time working in my classroom. It wasn't until 5:41 I learned via text that the meeting was canceled. To be honest, I was extremely upset since I had been waiting after school for 2 hours to attend the meeting and lived much too far to drive home and turn back around to drive right back to school.
If you could talk up
Ms.
just a
Summers.
little bit.
Do you want me to start over?
No, but if you could
If
just
you
talk
wanna pull
up a
that
little
down
bit, that'd be helpful.
Sorry. Consequently, I am asking that future meetings be held via Zoom. I feel we had a lot of audience participation as people were able to join remotely and safely from their homes. COVID is at a peak again, and it's really not a great idea for all of us to be out in public. Some families and staff just aren't comfortable. I, for one, am trying my best to stay COVID-free with so many others during these crazy times. Additionally, freezing steps and not supporting teachers with ESSER 3 money has unfortunately helped with the mass exodus, making it much worse for Oak Park than the surrounding area. In conclusion, I anticipate the district giving staff their step for the 2022-2023 school year. Thank you so much for your time and consideration.
Thank you so much. Are there any other members of the public that would like to address the board? Okay, seeing none, we will go to action items. And our first action item is facsimile signatures. Mr. Hoyda, if you would mind reading the action, please.
Resolved that the Oak Park Board of Education hereby authorizes the use of facsimile signatures of Albert Elvin, President, and Yosef Klein, Treasurer, for use in signatures signing checks drawn upon district funds, except those accounts for which other signatures have been authorized by the board. The board hereby authorizes the following school employees to conduct such transactions: Superintendent, Chief Finance and Operations Officer, and the Finance Manager.
Thank you. A motion has been made.
Second.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Are there any questions on the motion? Hearing none, Ms. Greer, please call the roll.
Alvin,
Yes.
Hoda,
Yes.
Klein,
Yes.
Smith.
Yes.
Thank you. Going to item 8B, designation of bank depositories for district funds. Mr. Smith, are you able to read
Yes.
that motion, please? Thank you.
Designation of bank depositories for district funds. The following brokers, dealers, safekeeping institutions, pool accounts, and banks are recommended as depository institutions for school district funds and other public monies coming into the hands of said treasurer. Brokers, dealers, safekeeping. Comerica Securities, Huntington Capital Markets, J.P. Morgan Securities LLC / J.P. Morgan Clearing Corporation, Multi-Bank Securities, PNC Financial Services Group, Pooled Accounts, MILAF Public Financial Management, PFM, Banks, Bank of America, Comerica Bank, Fifth Third Bank, Flat Star Bank, Huntington Bank, J.P. Morgan Chase Bank, Level One Bank, PNC Bank, North America.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Motion's been made. Is there a second?
Support.
Motion's been made and seconded. Are there any questions or any unreadiness on the motion? Hearing none.
Mr. Hood has a
Oh, go ahead.
comment.
I'm sorry.
I have a question.
Go ahead, Mr. I'm sorry.
That's why you got to sit here next meeting. Mr. Phillips, the reason we're listing so many banks is that because we want to have, I know this was something that came up in one of our audits a few years back, that to make sure that we have FDIC protection, we need to have multiple accounts when we're holding large amounts of district funds.
That's correct. It gives us flexibility. Right now, we're just working really with Comerica Bank as the primary and then PFM as the bond. And that's really all we need right now, but it keeps us flexible for future, if need be, future use.
Thank you.
Any other questions on the motion? I'm looking this way now. Hearing none, Ms. Greer, could you please call the roll?
Klein,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Alvin,
Yes.
and Hoda.
Yes.
Okay, we're at item 8C, designation of board's attorneys. Trustee Klein, could you please read that motion?
Resolved that the Board of Education authorizes the administration to utilize the services of the following legal firms as counsel to the board and the Oak Park School District in matters as specified for the 2022 to 2023 school year. The firms are the firm of Miller, Canfield, Paddock, and Stone, the firm of Miller, Johnson, and the Thrun Law Firm, PC.
Thank you. Motion's been made. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Are there any questions on the motion? Trustee Hoyda.
To clarify, is this approval for the 2022-2023 school year or for the 2022 calendar year?
2022 calendar year, since we do it at each organizational meeting.
So,
I will withdraw the motion, and maybe I can amend it.
okay.
Resolved that the Board of Education authorizes the administration to utilize the services of the following legal firms as counsel to the board and the Oak Park School District in matters as specified for the 2022 calendar year concluding with 2023, not inclusive. The firms of Miller, Canfield, Paddock, and Stone, the firm of Miller, Johnson, and the Thrun Law Firm, PC.
Support.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any questions on the motion? Hearing none, Ms. Greer, please call the roll.
Hoda,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Alvin,
Yes.
and Klein.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Item 8D, resolution to appoint director and alternate director, MAISL.
This is the insurance company, the risk pool.
Okay. Trustee Hoyda, would you please read that motion?
Resolved that the Oak Park Board of Education appoint Daniel Phillips as director and Pat Greer as alternate director to the MAISL Joint Risk Management Trust.
Support.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any questions on that motion? Hearing none. Ms. Greer, please call the roll.
Smith,
Yes.
Alvin,
Yes.
Klein,
Yes.
and Hoda.
Yes.
Okay. Resolution to appoint director and alternate we just went through that, I'm sorry. 8E, approval of Schedule B for the 2021-23 collective bargaining agreement with the Oak Park Education Association. Trustee Smith, please read that motion if you can.
Yes. Resolved that the Oak Park Board resolved that the Oak Park Board approve the Schedule B for the 2021-2023 collective bargaining agreement with the Oak Park Education Association.
Support.
Motion's been made and seconded. Are there any questions or comments on the motion?
I just want to thank the people who were involved in working on that over the past year, both from the Oak Park Education Association and from administration. I know that was a really important thing to make sure that our teachers that are doing additional work are being paid appropriately. So thank you so much for everyone who's been working on that.
I will second that. Dozens, hundreds of hours. Yes.
Thank you.
Any other
Quite a
comments
job.
or questions on the motion? Hearing none, Ms. Greer, please call the roll.
Hoda,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Alvin,
Yes.
and Klein.
Yes.
Okay, that concludes our action items. We're going to board committee assignments and appointments. And we have here several potential committees. I know we had committees over the last year. I don't know to what extent those committees, carried out the work they were supposed to, but are there any thoughts on these committees?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion. In respect to our other board members, fellow board members who are not here, I'd like to table this until our next board meeting. So in all fairness, we can discuss about the assignments, because technically we were going as committee as a whole, if I'm correct, for the majority of these, and there were only a couple. Well, let me go with the motion first.
You moved to table.
Yes.
Got it.
Support.
Okay, the motion's been made and seconded. Are there any comments or questions on that motion?
Okay.
I would just, procedurally, are we required to lay these out in the first meeting as we were with officers?
I can't hear you.
Do we have any sort of procedural obligation to do this in the first meeting of the year?
Not to my knowledge, but
I don't think so. I'm
We
just,
don't, and Trustee Smith, we did operate as a committee of the whole in the 2020-2021 school year, in the 2020 calendar year. The board, in its retreat last year, felt that the committee of a whole wasn't working, that they wanted to have committees, and so that was why we moved to having committees in the 2021 calendar year. But as Mr. Elvin said, I am fairly certain 2 of the 3 committees did not meet at all, and one of the committees met very infrequently. And so it was COVID, there was a lot going on, but just to clarify the history, that's my recollection.
Okay. Just a quick question, was one of the ones that were meeting frequently, wasn't that policy? Was that policy that was meeting, correct?
Policy, yes, policy met a couple of.
Yeah, I thought that policy was the only one that we had. Okay, thank you.
okay, so we have a motion to table. Any other questions on or comments on that motion?
The motion is to table until we is it to table until the next meeting, or is it to table until we have the full board present?
Yeah, to table until we have the full board present.
Then you may want to
Well,
rescind
no,
your
well,
original
actually, I
motion.
said the next meeting. I said the next meeting.
You said the next meeting.
I said next meeting with the expectation that board members will be here, but that's just till the next meeting.
do you want to withdraw and resubmit the motion?
Given how volatile all of our schedules are, with making sure that we're abiding with the policies on COVID-19, and those board members who don't feel comfortable attending right now, I want to make sure we're not holding ourselves back as a board
Okay.
to accommodate that.
So again, the motion stands to the next meeting.
Let's just continue the table till next meeting. If by then the board members are not present, then we move forward.
I can make a
Just in all
comment
fairness.
that gives us 6 days to communicate and figure out whether we want to table this indefinitely perhaps and go back to a committee of the whole
Yeah.
model.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Any other comments or questions on the motion?
And is that both for 9C and 9D? So both for committee appointments and
Yes,
and other appointments?
yes.
Okay.
So I would ask then, for us to be efficient, if you would just move to table items 9A, B, and C
All right.
at once.
You got to pull your last motion.
Okay, so pull the last motion, or just make another motion for
Just rescind the motion and say it again to table items 9A,
B and C. Okay, so I'd like to rescind the motion for item 9A, and then make a motion to table 9A, 9B, and 9C to the next committee meeting, and D.
Appointments to the Oakland School Budget
If that's what the motion is.
and the
And
Oakland
A,
County
B, and
School
C.
Board Association Government Relations Committee?
Again, if the intent is to
Wait till everyone's.
wait until the next meeting for all committee appointments and Oakland Schools appointments, then it will be 9A through 9D.
Right.
Okay.
That's the motion. I'll support it.
Yes.
Okay, so the motion has been made to table items 9A, B, C, and D until the next meeting. The motion's been made and seconded. Is there any unreadiness or any questions on the motion? Hearing none, Ms. Greer, please call the roll.
Hoda,
Yes.
Elvin,
Yes.
Klein, and Smith.
Yes.
Yes.
Motion passes. We move to information items, and our first information item is the construction bid package number 1. Dr. Hitchcock who would be speaking to this motion? I mean, to this information item, sorry.
I'm going to have our facilities manager, Mr. Burnett, as well as our guests step up to the podium.
Good evening. Kevin Donnelly with Plant Moran Cressa. What we have in front of you tonight is a recommendation for information tonight, but it relates to bid package number 1, which is the HVAC improvements at the elementary buildings. If you recall, back in December, we brought forward the equipment only. We had a need to expedite that and get that on order. What we're bringing forward tonight is the balance of the trade contracts to complete the work. Obviously, we have Mr. Burnett and myself here tonight, and we also have Krista Emilio with Rockford Construction here to help answer any questions.
Are there any questions from the board relative to this information item, construction bid package number 1? Trustee Hoyt.
So following up on what we approved last year, there was some concern about whether we wanted to pass that early so that the bids could go out because there was some concern about availability. Has there been any update since then about those bids and the availability of the materials in completing those orders?
We have our construction manager here, Krista, as well, to help answer that question, so I'll defer to her here in a few moments. But we're actively, we actively met with all the trade contracts that we bring forward tonight. We have very good confidence on many of the materials that we need to procure, that we're going to be able to get them on time. We do have some concerns with electrical switchgear and equipment that we're going to track and procure as quickly as we can. But there should be an expectation at the board level that the majority of this work will be done prior to the school year, but there's going to be some work that's going to be trickling into the fall as we try to complete this work. Krista, do you want anything else to add?
No, I do feel absolutely comfortable with mechanical equipment, but again, the electrical is going to be
Can you please speak
ordered.
into the microphone?
Sorry about that. The electrical, again, being awarded at this point, we'll continue to monitor that and make sure that they have all the information they need to secure their order. But as Kevin mentioned, there is a chance that that work will move into the fall, just due to the timing of that and working with utility companies. Sure.
Just as a side note, obviously, DTE, storms, all of that play into, everything. So we're meeting bi-weekly with DTE to keep Oak Park on the radar, because we also have the Lessinger project as well that has electrical upgrades. So that's our only concern, but we met with all the trades, we interviewed them. We feel very comfortable with everybody that's going to do the work for us. We feel comfortable that the HVAC Trustee Hoyda is going to show up. We feel we got everything. It's just the electrical switchgear is a little tricky, and the other part is DTE, obviously. We don't know what the storms are going to be and what's going to push things out, but that's really our only concern. I feel very comfortable. I was on all the interviews with Krista, and I feel like we got some really A-plus contractors coming in to do the work here in Oak Park. So, and thankfully to Rockford and Plant Moran Cressa and to Ghaffari, we really have a strong team here that I think we're going to be very successful this summer.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Barr.
Thank you, Mr. Barr. Are there any?
Burnett.
Sorry. My apologies. Thank you so much. I'm reading Steve Barr's name.
I'm in Michigan.
I'm reading his name and I'm like, never mind, forgive me. Okay, are there any other comments or questions? Yes, Trustee Klein.
Yeah. You guys have done excellent work, so as a comment, thank you for all your help. Looking through the bid package again, and there's a lot of broken down trades. You have mechanical, electrical, masonry, structural, steel glazing, and I understand all that. And then there's a $250,000 contract at KM Construction for general trades. If we have all these other guys, what is general trades? What are they doing?
The scope of general trades will consist of modifications to the ceilings. So with the scope of work that you have, they're changing horizontal units to vertical. So the vertical units will move up into the ceiling space in each of the classrooms, so that ceiling in each classroom will have to be modified to accommodate the new VUV.
I'm sorry?
To accommodate the new mechanical equipment.
Understood.
Also, you have one building too that has EFIS on the outside, not masonry, so part of their scope of work will be to adjust that EFIS and make sure that it adjoins to the new louvers that are going to go in place, so all of those openings as well.
So general trade is kind of like a catch-all for what the other guys are not doing?
Yes. You got
Okay,
it.
thank you.
Yes.
And my apologies, Mr. Burnett, as well.
Yeah.
No worries. And what Krista said, just for layman's term, is that we're going from the old style horizontal unit that blew the air up to we're going up this way with the, and so the ceiling has to have some modifications. And so that's just a general trade, because there's really not a trade that does just that ceiling modification.
Okay. That's me.
Thank you, Trustee Hoyter.
And in some of these buildings, we currently have window units that are in there. Does this work also include pulling those window units out, disposing of them, and replacing whether it's windows or whatever other material goes there?
At the end of the summer, we will have no window units at any elementary ever again. So we will not have any window units, and we will not have any split systems. It'll either be rooftops or it'll be vertical unit vents, and it'll be 100% air, all the classrooms will be air conditioned, heated properly. It's just going to be a wonderful project at the end of the summer.
Looking forward to it.
I've been looking at those window units in Pepper for the better part of 30 years, and I'm going to, sentimental a little bit.
Those window units haven't been there for 30 years, Mr. Klein. No. I'll give the shout out to Mr. Smith, who was it 4 years ago when we were talking about doing window units, and Mr. Smith said, we need to do the full HVAC. What are we doing with window units? And we all looked at him and said, we don't have the money for that. So thankfully, thanks to the hard work of our administration, our community, we now have between COVID funds and our bond that passed last year, we are able to do that work that Mr. Smith has been having his eye on for a number of years. So thank you very much for that.
Yeah. If you know anybody that's going to be looking for window units, we're going to have a lot of them.
All right.
Thank you, Mr. Burnett. Are any other questions from the board? Comments? Any other questions from administration? Comments? None? Okay.
Just want to say thank you to the team. We really appreciate your hard work, particularly Burnett, who has just jumped in there and took the ball and ran with it. So we really appreciate your support.
Thank you. We've come to the communications and the addenda portion of the meeting. Are there any communications or addenda to come from members of the public? From members of the administration? From members of the board? Trustee Hoyter and then Trustee Smith.
I just want to thank everyone. I'm coming to my the end of 3 years as president, and my perspective is going to change and my role is going to change. So I want to thank my colleagues on the board and the administration and the entire Oak Park Schools community for your support. This has been a really, it's been an exciting 3 years. It was, I believe after my first meeting as president that or maybe my second, that Dr. Colbert informed me that she was entertaining a job offer in another district, and of course from there we went through a transition and a wonderful hiring process with our new superintendent, and then COVID and Black Lives Matter and critical race theory and a lot of excitement. So I want to thank everyone for your support, and my wife definitely, and I appreciate having some more time in the schedule. I do want to say as well that I know that on Friday, I don't know if Mr. Phillips wants to speak this at all as well, but I know on Friday the state held its conference where the revenue estimating conference, which is held twice a year to estimate what the outlook is for revenue, and it was a very positive report. There is a lot more revenue in both general fund and school aid fund than was previously expected, and so hopefully that will allow for some of the much needed funding that our schools need to make sure that we're providing quality education to our students and bring us closer to what we already know. So the School Finance Research Collaborative has been saying for 4 years what it would look like to fund education in Michigan in a way that would lead to quality educational outcomes. We have not, our legislature has chosen not to move towards that blueprint, but not quite reach it, both in terms of the funding model, so how the money is spent, and also the funding amount that it takes. So hopefully we'll be able to start having discussions to move in that direction, and that's exciting news, hopefully, for everyone, especially, as has been pointed out many times, when we're facing a staffing shortage. That's another tool that hopefully can be used to address that.
Thank you, Trustee Hoyter. Trustee Smith.
Yeah. First, I'd like to say thank you to outgoing President Hoyter for your leadership since I've been here in 2017, and your time as the board president and enduring all the challenges and ebbs and flows and all the hills and bumps and so forth that we've endured during the time. You're a great colleague. I continue to look forward to continue working with you at whatever capacity we have, and still looking to you for your experiences and your past leadership. So I just want to thank you, and it's been really good, having you as our president. Okay, for President Elvin, I look forward to continued growth. Keeping us in line with our mission statements and our vision and our belief statements, and working with the admin and the school district in a way that's cohesive and progressive. So I just want to thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Klein.
I'm not going to toot President Emeritus Hoyter's horn anymore, but I will say thank you, President Elvin, for...
We don't have a President Emeritus position this week.
After
I have not agreed
for stepping in, notwithstanding your experience on the board.
Right.
You're a brave man, and we appreciate it.
Thank you. I just really quick like to thank all of the gentlemen here who are up on the stage for serving and answering the call to serve in an increased capacity as an officer of the board. So thank you to all of you for that. Thank you to President Hoyter for his leadership. I wasn't here for 3 years, but under the last 3 years, and certainly under the last year, teaching me and showing me kind of how things work and things of that nature. So I appreciate him for that. And as far as time that you're going to have, it may not be as much as you think with me picking up the phone, calling you, and asking you different questions. But in any case, thanks so much for your willingness to serve and your leadership over the past 3 years, especially this past year that I've been on the board. I appreciate it. There are no other communications in the addenda. The next meeting is, Trustee Smith?
Next
Monday, 24th.
Monday the 25th. Next meeting will be Monday, January
24.
Yeah, Monday, January 24th at 7:00 PM Eastern Standard Time.
Thank you. If there being no other business, time is 8:11. We are officially, I will ask for a motion. Is there a motion for adjournment?
Motion to adjourn.
There's a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Support.
The motion's been made and seconded. Ms. Greer, please call the roll on the motion.
Klein.
No need to call the roll. We'll do it by unanimous consent. Thank you.